It is Renee and Dee here, and we are bringing episode 3 of our weekly program. And this week we are going to be talking about the vegetable bok choy. So welcome, Dee. Tell us how your week has gone with creating all of these new recipes.
My week has been great. Thank you, Miss Renee. I actually feel a little bit bad because the recipes that I posted, they're basically, they have all the flavorings that were just handy and in my fridge. So you can kind of tell what I use for spices and maybe additional seasonings here. So I apologize for not having a broader spectrum, but I still think that we can get the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the key to all of this is that you are creating things from your refrigerator and you're not trying to be, you know, le gourmet chef all the time, and that you're creating easy things, you're trying new vegetables. So this vegetable was something, it was a request. So things to know if you are watching, whether you're watching live or in the replay, if you have a specific vegetable that you want more information about, you want to learn how to have it, eat it, try it in all different formats, Dee is our girl. So if you are on, please share this broadcast. So it's really important as we create each and every broadcast that we send these out there to people and that we share, because the whole premise of why Dee and I have collaborated and become buddies is that we want to offer the opportunity for two things to happen. We want to be able to share freely recipes. There's no copywriting. You don't have to worry. Everything here we're sharing freely. Number two, when you belong to Dee's recipes group, or when you are online on our page here at Dee's, Dee also has a recipe page, and then I have a page called Reformation, and we'll share all these links, but our low carb page. Things to know is if you are on the Ideal Protein protocol, you're going to get coaching from people that are coaches. And we're 100% protocol coaches. So super, super important. Okay, so we have just a note here. Ma Buck says, I have serious heart and blockage issues, so she's scheduled to watch today. God bless you both. Aw, well, we hope you are getting healthy, and we hope our recipes are creating that for you. And of course, Susan, hi from Texas, Susan. We always love seeing you. And of course, Melissa. Melissa is the owner of Red Cliff Pharmasave, where Dee is a coach and also has lost over 100 pounds as a client. So that's very cool. So wherever you guys are from, let us know, and of course, share our broadcast. Okay, Dee, let's bring up our lovely guest, the bok choy, and let's talk about it.
Sure. What do we want to learn about bok choy first?
Well, I think it's something that's unusual, and we don't, as Americans, I think we don't really include this in our diet. It's more considered from Asia. Mm-hmm. And so you tell us kind of, Dee always does tons of research. So she's created several recipes. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the properties of bok choy first, and then go into some recipes?
Yeah, sure. So interesting enough, I know that you're in Las Vegas today, but bok choy is now grown in California as well. It's a California crop. It is. It has been cultivated in China for over 5,000 years. So that is where it originates from, and then into Asia. So now in modern day, it is grown and cultivated in California and a few places within Canada. A little bit harder to find the specifics on where it's grown in Canada. However, bok choy it has a short growing cycle, 2 months, so about 60 days, and then you can get a crop off. So then that would make sense. For our spring and summers here, we would be able to grow that. And of course, California, then they would probably be able to get multiple crops off in a year. Bok choy, you might see it called Shanghai bok choy, regular bok choy, pak choy, Shanghai bok choy with a paler green. All the way down to the root. And traditional bok choy has a really dark, rich green leaf with more of a white bulb on the bottom. And the great thing about bok choy is, again, you use the whole product. So you use the leaf and the root bulb. So the entire veggie is edible. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So the primary recipes, I think that you were working on or were more like savory recipes, things that stir fries and different things. This one here is the bok choy stir fry. So tell us just kind of a little bit how you created this.
Sure. So I always put a shout out to our local greenhouses here in Redcliffe, Alberta. So we are the greenhouse capital of Canada. And so we will even find fresh bok choy occasionally in those greenhouses. But what we have right now is fresh Thai basil. It is so aromatic, so fresh, so delicious. They produce it weekly. It's always, fresh herbs are always available. And so if fresh herbs are something that you haven't added to your veggie cooking, I really encourage you to try it. So a ton of the flavor that comes in this bok choy recipe does come from the Thai basil. But the nice thing about bok choy is it's a very mild vegetable. So when you're slicing it and preparing it, it might kind of remind you of celery a little bit on the bottom and more of like a Swiss chard leaf on the top. But the bottom, where it looks more like celery, it's not as stringy, not as grainy. So it really absorbs whatever flavors you put with it. And it's a very quick, fast veggie to stir fry, to pan fry. And so that's why you also see such a wide variety of flavors put with bok choy. It takes on whatever you pair with it, and it literally marries to almost any other veggie that you put it with. There's not another veggie out there that doesn't taste good with bok choy. And of course, it adds just gorgeous color. It stays that nice deep green color, and that's always very attractive, especially in a dish that you add any kind of heat to. So often when vegetables have heat, then they wilt down or they turn kind of unappealing colors, and bok choy keeps a lovely, crisp, vibrant color. So it is quite an appetizing veggie to look at too once it's prepared.
Oh, that's awesome. And this recipe looks like it's put on a bed of cauliflower rice, which is one of my favorites. I love cauliflower rice because, again, a similar kind of thing. It gives you that rice texture, but it takes on the flavor of whatever you're pairing it with. So that's just such a nice, thing to be able to, if you want some Spanish flavors, you want some Asian flavors, whatever it is you want, it kind of just becomes that.
So this one actually, in cauliflower rice is an excellent idea, but in this picture, it was actually the konjac rice. So the konjac root rice, I did have a bag of it in my pantry, and I just want to give a little side note about that. It is a zero carb root vegetable that they turn into a noodle. You do have to respect the serving size, and they do have a lot of fiber, really, really high fiber, so you have to use a lot of water. But what the fun thing about this rice is that you just rinse it and you just pan fry it dry. You don't have to add anything into the pan. You just dry it out, make it like a fried rice on its own. And then again, just like your cauliflower rice, it will take on whatever flavors that you had added there. And so, of course, everybody has if you don't have a wide variety of a spice cupboard, I would encourage you to start playing with them. And no matter where you shop, whether it's from fresh farmers markets or your favorite Trader Joe's or whoever, in the States, it's a little bit different than here. Even in places like Winners, and I think you guys are like more Home Sense, Marshalls, they spices are carried, and heat is always an awesome thing to add to stir fry dishes. So in this one pictured, a lot of people love their sugar-free sriracha sauce, and you can make it from scratch. I happen to not have any in my fridge left, but I had Tabasco sauce, and Tabasco has huge flavor, big punch. So paired with some fresh lime juice and the garlic and that little bit of Tabasco and a little bit of soy sauce. And I am going to throw this out here because today there's a lot of stir fry options here. I don't always love to brown drop, but look for Bragg's Aminos liquid soy. It is a true 0-0. You have to be very careful on soy sauce when you're using it as a condiment. A lot of them have a lot of sugar and a lot of carbs in them. So please do a little bit of homework on your nutritional labels before purchasing things like soy sauce. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I direct all my clients to use Bragg's Aminos as a soy sauce alternative because actually I think there's more sugar in low sodium soy sauce than in regular soy sauce, correct?
Yeah.
So being really careful with those items, and I have not tried the konjac noodles or rice. I'm so glad you paired that. Apparently, I didn't read my recipes. But I love it, and yeah, you do have to be careful with the serving size, and so it's kind of a fairly new addition to some of the recipes that I've seen online. So Josephine says hi from Cloverdale Pharmasave, and she loves bok choy. Awesome. So let's move along to our next item here, which is the cheesy tomato bok choy. That looks really yummy.
It was. So again, our lovely vibrant green. I don't know if any of you growing up, if anybody in your family ever made macaroni and cheese with tomatoes. So tomatoes and cheese are amazing together. And so tomatoes and macaroni and cheese are also really tasty together. And then the vibrant punch of that bok choy in there just seals the deal, actually. So picture it is the ideal protein macaroni and cheese. And I just soak the noodles in water on the counter until they're al dente. I don't ever boil any IP macaroni anymore. I just let it get to the texture that I like by soaking it in water. So it's really simple. It's something you can have doing on the side. It doesn't take a long time. And then you don't ever have to worry about getting mushy noodles. And for this recipe, I would actually even recommend undercooking them or under soaking them just a little bit, because we're going to put them into that hot skillet to blend with our tomatoes and seasoning to coat our bok choy and our tomatoes. And tomatoes go in the pan first with your seasoning and your oil, and you wilt them down really nicely. And I used a garlic and cilantro seasoning. And I really should have probably listed everything that was in that garlic and cilantro seasoning, because there's about 10. There's paprika and cumin and garlic. There's so many good things in there. So the other thing that I'd like to tell you about something like the cheesy tomato bok choy, tomatoes pair with almost any seasoning that you can think of. So whether it's paprika or cumin or lemon pepper, the sky is the limit. So the nice thing about a recipe like this is pick seasonings that you love and enjoy, or get a little bit bold. Maybe you want to do a Mediterranean theme, or maybe you want to do even curry and tomatoes. They go really well. So there's a lot of options. The other thing I like about a recipe like this is I love, and I know we're going to talk about this every week when we're here, but I love having an IP pack made and prepared with a full 2 cups of veggies. So no matter where you are on the go, whether you're at work or play or traveling, then that food option is there. You can eat this one hot or cold. It tastes good both ways. So again, it's quite simple, but really delicious. And if you have it warm, it's super satisfying because it just, that warm food in the belly is always a little bit more satisfying than cold. So, but yeah.
So the big green leaves on there, is that bok choy?
It is bok choy. Yeah. Okay. So I decided to present that stir fry on the actual bok choy leaves.
Okay, so is the bok choy cooked at all, or is it ate raw here like a salad?
So the leaves on the bottom were raw like a salad, and in the tomatoes and macaroni, then it was cooked in the skillet.
Oh, that looks awesome. All right. Well, before we go on, Erin said, I'm finally able to watch. Well, thanks for joining us, Erin. And be sure, everybody that's out there, be sure that you're sharing our broadcast. That's how we're able to gain our following and share more of these recipes that are free. And you know, we're all about sharing, and we're all about teaching 100% protocol. So make sure, you know, you belong to our groups and to our pages, because that's where you're going to get the real deal. You've got coaches like Dee and Melissa and Josephine, and you know, we are all collaborating. Susan, you get the real answers from coaches instead of listening to other people. Josephine says, yum, great combination. The colors go so well. I agree. Nice and colorful. Melissa says, that looks interesting. Love the mac and cheese. So awesome. So let's see what is next to be sharing here. So we have the bok choy orange chicken. Orange chicken. I love orange chicken.
Yes.
This looks very tasty.
Orange chicken goes with anything. It goes with any veggie, and it goes with any protein as well. So again, this is just a small snippet of what you could do, because a recipe like this, you could use shrimp, pork, beef, veal, chicken, wild game. You're not limited to what you could put. Even fish you can put in here. So orange chicken, there's a lot of different ways you can do orange chicken, because you could do, say, a coating with ideal protein pancake, something like that, and actually do a breaded orange chicken. This time I chose just to do it on its own. And so really simple ingredients again. So Walden Farms orange marmalade, the Bragg's amino soy, and Ideal Proteins maple syrup. So the other thing that we need to, I should have mentioned it earlier, but when you are building your sauces, your glazes, your marinades, anything like that, when you're working with a tender veggie like bok choy, have those done and prepared beforehand. Have them ready to go, because your bok choy is going to cook down, wilt down very quickly. So you don't want to start cooking your bok choy and then start assembling your glazes or your flavorings. Have them ready to go first so that you can quickly add it all together, because there's nothing worse than an overcooked veggie when that is mush in the pan. So a little tip there. So do your glazes or your sauces first. And again, the orange marmalade, I always have some type of a Walden Farm jam in my fridge, and it just depends on maybe what kind of recipes I was working with. So with pork, you know, I tend to use the cranberry. With baking, it's usually a strawberry or raspberry. For chicken, it's always orange. So in the orange marmalade, a little goes a long way. If you have any trouble working with it, just put it on defrost in your microwave or melt in a pan, nice and slow and low, and it melts down to a wonderful texture to whisk together with your other ingredients. And the other ingredients that I absolutely love, and I think everybody should have a bottle of it in their cupboard, is the Ideal Protein maple syrup. It is, especially in stir fries, Asian, Thai, any dishes inspired by them. It is a great sweetener, and a little goes a long way. So a lot of times when you're making your stir fry sauces or marinades, it's going to call for sugar. And of course, you could use a little bit of granular sugar. However, I personally prefer the maple syrup flavor essence versus granular sugar. I find that granular sugar substitutes have quite a strong aftertaste, and I don't enjoy it quite as much. So
so just clarifying, when she says granular sugar, she doesn't mean sugar. She means stevia or Splenda or some type of low glycemic fake sugar.
Yes. Sorry.
And I agree with you, Dee. I think the maple syrup is a great option when you want to just make that sweet and sour sauce, or just lightly add a little bit of sweetener. And again, your 0.0 products do have hidden carbs in them. So making sure that you're staying within those 3 to 4 what we call extras, meaning like if maple syrup's one serving size is 2 tablespoons or 1 tablespoon, that's 1 extra. So, I know in my clinic, I limit it to 3 extras. I know in some clinics, they go up a little bit. So it just depends on your coach, and work with your coach. Your coach knows best.
The other thing about the Ideal Protein maple syrup is a 1/4 cup is 1 serving of sweetener. A quarter. That's 4 tablespoons or 60 mils of sweetener. That's a lot of sweetener. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love the idea of using the pancake mix to bread the chicken if you want to, because sometimes those are traditional ways people have been taught to cook. And we want a little bit of that. Obviously, we're going to change a lot of our habits as we move into a different lifestyle that it has gotten away from frying things and deep frying things and, that kind of thing. But, switching over and baking things, that's an awesome idea. It sounds yummy.
I have one done in that form too. And another little plug for the using a sweetener like the Walden Farm jams. When I first started IP, I disliked everything Walden Farms. I thought it was all disgusting. I stomped my foot and said, I'm not using that. However, as time went on and I created more and was making more, the jams, again, they're very thick. They're very, very thick. So often you will see in recipes, especially in stir fry sauces, they call for cornstarch or a thickening agent. So in something like the orange chicken recipe, that jam solidifies back up once it starts to cool when you remove from the pan. You don't need a thickening agent in these types of sauces. They thicken up on their own, and they coat the vegetables really nicely. So just so you know too, that sometimes when you're making adaptations to your favorite recipes, you don't always need all the original ingredients. It's totally fine to omit some that maybe are not protocol friendly.
Yeah, that's great. If you are watching us, be sure you are sharing our broadcast, and be sure you're sharing Dee and Renee's recipe group, because every week we meet here on Wednesdays at 1:30 p.m. and you can always watch it in the afterplay if you can't make it. But definitely we're sharing recipes here, and we will be posting these recipes in the comments section. Okay, Dee, let's head over to the bok choy salad. And this looked so good because it incorporates that mushroom and Parmesan risotto, which me personally, I don't really care for it by itself, but I love it mixed into a salad or a stir fry. So this looks awesome.
It is the bok choy, again, it goes with everything, but that mushroom and Parmesan couscous risotto. So again, that goes back to that having that complete IP pack with your 2 cups of veggies again. And I agree. Our retail professional, Karen, she discovered by accident that the couscous cold was delicious. And she shared that with me. So she had made it one day, didn't get to it. So she put it into the fridge and then had it cold with some vegetables. And she came to work and she said, I've got one for you. to try. And since then, I have made multiple cold salads with the mushroom and Parmesan couscous risotto, and the real Parmesan cheese, the flavor is that in there. It is wonderful as a dressing. So really, it coats whatever veggies that you're using with it, and gives you a really lovely textured salad dressing packed full of flavor, and then you get the benefits of having the protein in there. So again, made ahead, multiple days in the fridge, it's good to go. So then your lunches are done. I wouldn't freeze something like this recipe, but it would be good in the fridge for a couple of days. And so, yeah, so another thing IP has tons of sweet treats, and they're great, and I don't have a problem with people eating them, but I do encourage you all to try some of their savory options. And this is a great savory option. So, and for lunchtime, because when you're done, we're going to want you to eat whole foods, whole food choices. So something like some chicken and cheese is going to be fantastic, mushrooms, those kind of flavors. So it's a great product to try.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Dee, is as a coach, I encourage my clients to have breakfast, lunch, and snack, and of course, then you make your own dinner. I don't encourage my clients to eat chocolate puffs for breakfast and vanilla crispy squares for lunch and chocolate crispy squares for snack, because we're not helping you when we are offering you a whole day of snacks. So because when we get into maintenance, what have we learned? What new habits have we created that we are going to eat a bag of barbecue chips for lunch? No. So yeah, I love that you mentioned that. And so just a little note on this Oriental sesame bok choy salad. It looks delicious, has some snap peas. I see you incorporated the Oriental sesame sauce, which is also an ideal protein, zero sugar, zero carb product. So tell us a little bit about that.
Do you have that picture to roll up? So that's okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So here,
I'm getting ahead of myself. I have two screens here. I think I'm a professional, and I'm not, Dee. So.
It's all good. I love cold salads. I love vegetables. I won't lie. I find this part of the program really easy because there's not very many vegetables that I don't enjoy. So snow peas I adore, and Savoy cabbage or Napa cabbage so bok choy is of the cabbage family, and so paired with other cabbages, it is fantastic. Also, the Oriental sesame sauce from IP. If you haven't tried it, again, there's another product that I would encourage you to try. It has the soy sauce and that little bit of sesame oil. It has great flavor. It's a thick suspension, and it has a little bit of kick, has a little bit of heat in there as well. And I actually find it much superior. And I know I just praised Walden Farms a little bit, so now I'm going to kick it to the side a little bit. I actually find the sauces that IP has done to be a superior suspension to Walden Farms. Better texture, better seasoning, a little bit better flavor in there. And so if all you had was that Oriental seasoning and you didn't want to add any more of your own Bragg's aminos, or you didn't have a fresh squeeze of lemon or lime, hey, that's okay. You could just put that Oriental sesame sauce on those fresh veggies and go toss in a bowl and go. It is that simple. And so again, this is just a tiny snippet of some fresh raw bok choy and some other friends that you could mix together. So your imagination to what you like is your only limit there. Maybe you want a few different kinds of bok choy in your bowl, maybe a few different kinds of cabbage. And again, another big perk of the cabbage family, and bok choy is included in this, it is ridiculously economical. Big bang for your buck. You always get a large amount. And so whether you are voluming it or weighing it to get your cups out, you're going to find that anybody in the cabbage family, you're going to get a lot of food for the dollars spent. And so it's very economical, and it goes a long, long way. So great too if you're just feeding one, or if you're feeding a ton. Right now, my oldest is home from university. He's 19. The next one is another 17-year-old boy, and our daughter is almost 14. We go through buckets of food in our home. Like, I'm not even kidding you. And it's like I need an assembly line almost. And so economical veggie fillers, they are a must because they need them. But I also, just for grocery economics, they need to be in there as well.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And you know what? I was just looking at all the recipe ingredients on this bok choy salad, and to me, what would taste really good in here is maybe some of those barbecue soy nuts if you wanted to make this for your lunch and add your ideal protein packet to it.
Or the trail mix.
Or the trail mix, yeah, that would be awesome. Well, let's say hello to a few people here, and then pretty much our show time is up. Hi, Sherry. Thank you for coming on and giving us a heart face. Let's see. M asks, are these recipes in a book or just print from a group? We do not have a cookbook. What we are doing is just sharing creative ways that you can make you can make things that you maybe already know recipes for. We're showing you ways to incorporate other kinds of products into them, or the ideal protein products into them, and make them so that they are low carb and they can fit within your program. And Lori, nice to see you online. If you are watching this show and you want a special veggie next week, I forget who private messaged me, but someone private messaged me and said, could you please, do the bok choy? So I reached out to Dee, and she said, absolutely. I think one of the things that we were talking about is possibly doing zucchini next week. So we'll see what comes up. Zucchini's fresh in California here. I don't know what's growing fresh up there in Canada, or is anything growing yet?
Oh, you betcha. So every week our greenhouses, like I said, they're kicking out all the fresh herbs, tomatoes, every color of peppers under the sun, plus hot peppers, kale, all types of lettuces, eggplants, all types of tomatoes and variety, and of course cucumbers, and then radishes. Fresh radishes are out. So they're slowly coming around. So I haven't seen bok choy yet, but I just want to give two other little quick things on bok choy. We don't want to wash bok choy until you're going to use it. It's very delicate, but you do need to cut the ends off, and you need to give them a bath because they hold a lot of dirt. You'll have a sandbox in your bok choy. However, if you wash it too early, the leaves are very delicate, so it will break down. So don't wash him until you're ready to use him. And bok choy will also stay fresh in your fridge, sealed for up to a week. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so it's what you can buy in the beginning of the week, and it should still be good for 5-6 days in. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, Miranda says zucchini would be great. So, okay, you guys, that is our show for today. I always want to say thank you to Dee. She's so creative. And be sure that you are a member of Dee's Recipes Facebook. We will go ahead and put the link in the comments section, so you are sure to be a member over there. And of course, share this page here and let all of your friends know about all of our low carb recipes. And yes, a half an hour goes super fast. So, all right, Dee, until next week.
Thank you so much, Renee. And just so everybody knows, Renee is the total brains behind this operation. So you got to send her much love. So
all right, I'm in Vegas. I'm in Vegas tonight, broadcasting from Vegas. Go Golden Knights. All right, you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.